Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Uchu Sentai Kyuranger episode 46. So this was a pretty good episode. It didn't blow me away or anything, but it was pretty solid. It's essentially the official start of the final battle. I feel like every episode they're like, no, now this is the final fight. And then something else happens, they're like, no, wait. This for sure is the final fight. So that's what it's like. You know, we went in for the final battle. It was pretty straightforward. Honestly, they could have finished the series here, which I'll talk about in a second, but basically, like I said, pretty straightforward. They were going to destroy the consumers, which is really funny. Like, I've always thought that name was funny, like, consumers with a Z. It just feels like some sort of, like hip term that, like, a company uses to talk about, like, their consumers at a business meeting. Like, we need to find a way to get the consumers to buy stuff with a Z. It's cool, man. That was a weird tangent. Anyway, basically, most of the Kyurangers, by most I mean like 10 out of the 12, are getting in the mecha and they're gonna blow it up, while Tsurgi and Lucky went to go confront Danvo, or Khan. I think I did that joke already. I'm not sure. Possibly, and probably. Maybe in multiple timelines I did that joke. Anyway, wow, I'm easily distracted today. So basically, you know, they're trying to destroy it and they're like, oh no, for some reason you're shielded until Cuervo's knocked out of the base. It's like some sort of video game logic. So they gotta fight a bunch of grunts while Lucky and Tsurgi fight Cuervo, and there's a little more exposition about like, you were never my friend, you always just looked down on me. And Lucky's like, huh, I'm his friend, I'm his new best friend, we got friendship bracelets, you didn't get nothing, Cuervo. It was like that, but like more like sappy and toku-y. But basically that was the gist of it, and Cuervo trapped Lucky in a little pocket. Like, it was like a dark pocket Kyutama dimension where everything, it was basically how my mind works. Like, if you know you're not going to succeed, don't try. Which is my #1 life philosophy. And that was basically that, but Lucky's like, yo, Lucky! And he punched his way out, and then, who was it? Stinger and I think it was Naga showed up, and they're like, ah, friendship! And then they beated him down, and then they pushed him out of the building, they destroyed the consumers because he's out of the building, because video game logic. And all that stuff was fine. You know, I liked it aesthetically. I did like Cuervo's motivations. I've mentioned this in the previous 2 weeks, but they're not unbelievable. I think there's actually some neat stuff in there. I just wish we would have seen more hints at it. I think some more flashbacks, sort of fleshing that out a little bit. Fleshbacks, that's gross, would have made this more impactful, but it made sense, and it was... like I said, it makes sense, it would make more sense if it was more or less sudden. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean. And the scenes, like I said, they were sappy, but they did a good job of reinforcing, sort of, the bond between the Kyurangers and Tsurgi, which is nice. I was kind of fine just on the mecha battle stuff. Like I said, I thought it was weird that it was like, Cuervo had to be out of the base. I mean, I'm sure he was doing something that made it that way, but it seemed very video gamey that he needed to be basically kicked out of the base so you could destroy it. Like I said, video game logic. Like, I'm picturing like a co-op mission. This is what it was. And then, you know, they all blew him up, and when that happened, Dawn's spirit popped out of Cuervo, and Cuervo was like, I'm gonna rule the galaxy with his little sword. That sounded like Tiny Emperor. And then Tsurgi killed him. So I liked that moment, because from the moment this reveal happened, when they had it so that Cuervo wasn't just straight up taking Dawn's mantle and he kind of merged with him, I was like, oh, they're probably going to do a redemption arc. And they didn't. Like, Cuervo right at the end there, he was totally himself, you know, his own body, everything, but he still was angry and going after him, and Tsurgi actually finished him. Doing that again. So I appreciated that, because Toku will not often go that extra step, that sometimes someone is beyond redemption with that. But then, of course, they turn it right around. And Dawn's, like, spirit thing tried to possess Tsurgi, and Tsurgi's like, look, my immortality powers are running out anyway, just destroy me now, we'll end the war here. And Lucky's like, no, because of friendship and Toku nonsense, I'm going to save your life even if it costs everyone else's lives. Oh, I hated it so much. Like, and I was just thinking in these last few episodes that I like that Lucky's, you know, catchphrases become something more about optimism in a good way, but I hate when a Toku character's 4 lines of descriptions is their whole character and they won't budge. Lucky here, I think, was making a huge mistake that wasn't heroic at all. I get wanting to save your friend, but his immortality powers are running out and he wanted to sacrifice what was left of his immortality to save everyone. And Lucky is essentially risking everybody in the universe's lives for this one dude that's trying to make a sacrifice that would save everyone's lives. And that pisses me off unbelievably. I mentioned this a few weeks ago in Lucky's story with his dad, that I wish Toku would sometimes teach the lesson that hero shows and comics will often teach of, that sometimes you're not going to be able to save everybody you're trying to save, and you have to make the decision that might save the most people. And that would have been this decision. And so it really pissed me off. Especially, like, literally coming off the moment of them actually deciding to kill Cuervo and not do a dumb redemption story. So that really made me mad. And it, like, immediately had consequences with Commander sacrificing himself. Now, I don't think Commander's dead. His death was very much set up as more of an absorption. Like, Don, Tsurgi, Son Goku, like, basically absorbed him. So you know that he's coming back. I'm like 99% sure he'll be regenerated in the finale. But still, it had immediate consequences. It was kind of a funny moment with Commander, because he's like, I bet you wouldn't, this is an out-of-character moment to do a cool sacrifice like this. Like, just always the best. But I'm sure, I get a feeling even some of the other Kyurangers are going to have that happen. And so, I'm sure Tsurgi's going to be saved. But so that seemed pretty obvious. I mean, I could be wrong. There's a chance I could be wrong, and maybe that was Commander's final episode, but I doubt it, just because of the way it was done. Like, it wasn't, sometimes there's a way where characters are killed off, where you think they're dead and they'll come back, but then there's ones like this where they've visually given you an out. So I think that's what's gonna happen. And I don't know, like, if it would have just ended there with them destroying Tsurgi with Dawn in him, it would have made this episode kind of a lackluster by the numbers finale, but I would have been okay with it because of not doing this stupid story where Lucky's basically spitting on Tsurgi's heroics. That pisses me off. And I'm kind of torn on the whole Dawn possessing him thing, because on one hand, it's kind of a cool final stretch, but on the other hand, it feels fanficky. So I don't know. We'll see how it ends up. Like, I think this was a solid episode. It gave me some reservations about the way the story's going for the last few episodes. But I'd probably give it a 7.7, which is kind of a weird score. I was going to give it an 8 up until that final twist, but we'll see how it plays out in the final episodes. Anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Dawson Ryder, signing out.